guys, so it's been a while since I've done a Freelance Friday video on this channel, and I decided that I would do one for this week because I'm finally in my new filming room and I've had a little bit of time today to finally do one. So I want to keep them up. However, a lot of my freelance content now is going to be over on my new channel, as you might have seen in my last video. So if you're interested in freelance business creative content, that is going to be over on my new channel, and that is linked down below in the description box. So make sure to go and subscribe to that if that's the content that you're interested in. But today we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts of running your own photography business. And I don't think I've really done a video like this before, but it's definitely something I've thought about doing for a while because I've seen a number of mistakes kind of popping up with running a photography business, and I thought that I'd have some good tips to help correct them as well. So if you find yourself falling into any of these traps while running your own photography business, hopefully there might be a solution in this video. So we're going to get straight into the video today, and I'm going to talk about some do's and don'ts of running your own photography business. So the first tip today is going to be don't undersell the quality of your work. So I know that there's a lot of people out there that will talk about like what you're worth and make sure to charge what you're worth. But I think a better way to look at it sometimes is looking at your actual work and determining what kind of level it's at and determining your worth in your work. I think too often for a lot of amateur photographers out there or people who are just starting their photography businesses, it feels a very natural thing to undersell and to charge a very low amount for what you're producing in terms of your content. But I think that this should not apply to everyone, and you should always be looking at the quality of your work and where you feel it sits compared to others out there in the industry. And I think it's a really important thing too to make sure you're not undercutting other photographers as well, because this is a really big problem in the industry where a lot of photographers will charge too low an amount, and it starts to almost bring down everyone else's fees because they feel that they can't keep up with these photographers who do keep undercutting them. And it's really not a good way to go. It's not a good thing for the industry. We need to make sure that people are getting paid what their work is worth, and we need to make sure that undercutting is not a common thing. So I've actually done an ebook on this topic, and you guys might not already know this, but I have an ebook on how to price your photography, and that is down in the description box below as well if you're interested in looking at that. It is $8.99 and available for purchase on my shop. So go and check that out. If you're struggling to know what to charge for your photography, this ebook will hopefully help guide you a little bit more in terms of what to charge and maybe some different strategies on how you can charge accordingly. So we've talked about the don'ts. So the do for this particular topic is do make sure that you charge accordingly in regards to the quality of your work, where you feel that your experience level is at, and where your work is really sitting at currently, and make sure not to undercut. The next don't that I'm going to talk about is don't wait for photography jobs to come to you. Now, I think that this happens a lot. I've actually talked about this a little bit in another video that I've got coming up on my other YouTube channel. But I think far too many of us or far too many photographers out there will wait for jobs to come to them. They're too scared of pitching, or they're too frightened to get their work out there in that way and market their work directly to potential clients. And I think that in this day and age, we all need to really get in the habit of doing this, because when things like COVID happen and your income streams go down, or you don't have another way of earning money, or you're going through a bit of a lull, you know, this sort of stuff does happen regularly. Not so much COVID, that was definitely a little bit left field, but things like a slow period will often come up in your business if you're freelancing. So it's important to be able to be confident with pitching your work out there if you feel that you're not getting enough work or the clients that you want. So obviously the do for this is do start pitching your work out to clients and start creating the business that you want to create. Start getting the clients that you want to get. Take control of that part of your business and don't just leave it to chance, because you never know what can happen. And unfortunately, too many photographers out there have had failed businesses in the past because they haven't been able to pitch, or they haven't taken that into consideration when they do have a slow period. The next don't I'm going to talk about is don't feel that you need to stop learning at any point. Don't start to feel like you've ever learned enough, because as soon as you start to feel that way, you tend to stop learning from others, you tend to stop feeling the need to, and you start to feel that you're already at that perfection level, or there's nothing else left to grow with your work. And I think that that's not necessarily a good thing. I think it's always good to want to be able to grow your work. Do continue learning and developing your skills and your craft, always. I think that this is a really staple thing that all creatives should feel with their work. Don't ever feel like you've reached that level of perfection that you just don't have anything left to learn, because I think that can be a little bit small-minded. I think there's always something new to learn with photography, and there's always something that someone else is going to do that maybe you haven't even thought of. Definitely always take time to learn and do new things. The next don't is a big one, and I think that it applies to a lot of beginners out there. So don't feel the need to buy expensive equipment or a lot of equipment when you're first starting out in your photography business. I think that this is something that as beginners, we all feel that we need to do when we're starting out, because it's sort of like, well, you're starting your business, you want to make sure you've got the top equipment, you want to make sure you've got everything you need. And absolutely, do invest in things that are necessary. And I will always say that investing in your business is one of the best investments you'll probably ever make. But make sure to do it wisely, and don't always feel that you need to have the most expensive equipment to get you where you need to be with your photography business. There will be always costs associated with your business that you may not think about, such as servicing, taxes, insurance, the list goes on. So make sure you do it wisely when you're first starting off with your photography business, and don't always feel the need to go and spend a lot of money. The next don't is another big one for me, I feel. Actually, these are all kind of big don'ts, but don't sit back and never make a move to build your portfolio. I think this is a really big one too, because I do notice that a lot of photographers out there will do this. They will take a number of photos and then sort of stop. They'll just stop building their portfolio and then expect to be paid. And for a lot of photographers out there, they may get to the point where they're too busy to do collaborations. They're too busy to do their personal work, and that's fine. I think we all get to a point where we're way too busy and we are getting paid clients, and that does take priority. But I think there's an issue out there for a lot of photographers that just don't want to build upon their portfolio anymore and feel entitled to always be paid for everything that they do, which is fair enough. You should be paid for doing jobs, you should be paid for doing work. But what I'm speaking about here is more or less doing collaborations, test shoots, creative work, having that creative outlet still, always building upon your portfolio to make it better. And I think a lot of photographers out there will agree with me. We always do want to make our portfolios better. You don't want to ever stop, because I've often found the moment that I do stop building upon my portfolio, that's when I don't tend to get much interest on my work and I don't get many client offers. So that's always a little bit of a worrying thing when you're running a photography business. You always want to make sure that people are interested in your work, that there's clients out there that are interested in your work. And I think the best way to do this is to always have a look at doing test shoots, collaborations, and editorial submissions. And that will really help with building content and marketing materials as well, but also it'll help build your portfolio. And then the last don't that I'm going to talk about today is one that's really aimed at beginners a lot of the time. And we're going to talk about this in relation to a photography business and running one. And it is, don't feel the need to shoot every genre of photography. And I think a lot of people out there, when they first start their photography businesses, they will say yes to everything. And that's totally fine. I always recommend saying yes to a lot when you're first starting freelancing or first starting out in your photography business. But I do think as well, you do need to have some sort of a niche down amount of genres that you tend to focus on, because otherwise things can get quite confusing for prospective clients out there. They may be looking at you in a different light. Say if you want to do fashion and beauty photography, but what's in your portfolio is weddings, families, portraits. You know, there might be a tiny little bit of fashion, a tiny little bit of beauty. There might be cars, there might be travel. And if you've got all of that in your portfolio, it does become very confusing. And it's showing that you're kind of not focusing on a few different genres or one genre, which can actually be detrimental to you earning an income and to attracting clients in the long run. So I always recommend to do niche down and choose a few genres that really suit you. This will help your portfolio become a little bit more attractive to prospective clients in future, and it helps you figure out your branding a lot more around your photography business too. Okay guys, well I hope you really enjoyed this video today. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you do. And if you're interested in a lot more freelance kind of videos like this one, or photography business videos, creative business videos, make sure you go and subscribe to my other YouTube channel where I do a lot of creative content education over there. If you guys have any requests, please let me know in the comment section below, and until then, I will see you in the next video. Bye!